Okay, this is your video for chapters 1 through 4, and I apologize. On your packet, there's a typo. This section is pages 2 through 35. Sorry, I think it says 25 on the top of page 10, which is what you should have out. You should have your packet out, this video, and your book, okay? You also could listen to the text, so I'll show you where that audio is. It's not a reading class, so you certainly can listen. So, in general, chapters 1 through 4, Okonkwo is our main character. His life is the life we are tracking as we read this narrative. Okay, as you look at your packet, you've got some things in your 2.2 must do that you must do. So I'm looking at page 10 in the packet. You have a storytelling culture chart where you are supposed to track some of the African words that you are using. I'm giving you one up here right away. It's also on your sheet. It's in your packet already. But here's the reminder. At the back of your book, you have a glossary. And it's pretty much in alphabetical order. But it is the Igbo words that are in the text and a definition of them, nice and short, so you know what they're talking about. You can tell it is an African word because it will be in italic print. Okay, so it's kind of in that squiggly print. That is a word that they are using that is African. I'm asking you to track them because we're trying to kind of learn about their culture. He was trying to teach us about their culture from his perspective. That's the really unique and cool thing about this book, is it's written from someone's perspective from inside of Africa, as opposed to someone outside narrating what they think the life is like. In your Schoology folder, you also can see audio files. You can listen to it if you want to. You don't have to read it. You also can control the speed of that. If you want to speed up that audio, if that narrator is too slow for you and you can listen and comprehend faster, go ahead and speed it up. Second thing you need to find on your assignment is an idiom, a proverb, or a folk tale. Those are the three literary elements that we should kind of recognize that Chinua Achebe uses in this book. And I am telling you on page 7, there is a proverb. It also is listed in your packet. The full proverb is there. One of the clues to look for when you're reading this book and looking for proverbs or sayings, these wise sayings, the word is pithy, P-I-T-H-Y. It just means it's like a short little but very deep learning you should take from it that you can apply to your life. The clue words are the elders say, or according to our elders. That's something that people in the community and the culture would listen to and kind of pay attention to because they could learn from that. Okay? I also let you know on page 8 there are a couple other proverbs. But this chapter, the first chapter is you're meeting your main character, and you're going to hear about his experience with his father, Unoka. And that has kind of helped shape him into the kind of guy that he is. So pay attention to that. Then, chapter 2, a little preview. You will learn that Okonkwo is a fearless, kind of angry man. And you'll learn about that and the why of that in chapter 1. But there also is this idea of the community and the people are very fearful of the darkness and how they kind of associate that with terrible things happening to them. So kind of pay attention to that. And finally, you'll see some examples of Okonkwo's anger and also of his wealth. And if you remember from the background, it's not just given to you, you earn it. And so he has worked very hard to get this and also at the same time be very different from his father and his father's lack of success. But he has kind of paid a price for that as you see how he cannot or struggles to balance his anger with his lifestyle. Here is a small family tree. It is also linked in the folder if you want to find it. But you see here is Okonkwo. There is his father. Here are his 3 wives. Okay, that is common in their culture. Here are his children. Not all of them are named. A couple of them are, and you'll learn why. Izimba becomes kind of an important person, and as you hear about Ikwifi, his second wife, you'll find out why. And over here in the corner is a character, Ikamafuna. He's kind of listed as his sons, but you see he's not really from any of these wives. So Ikamafuna will join Okonkwo's family at some point, and you'll find out why that happens and how it happens. But he is not his birth son, nor is he a son from any of his current wives. There's a line from his father, but that shouldn't be there. It's not really any relation to his father, Unoka. So that's chapters 1 and 2, helping you kind of see what's going on, but also set your purpose for the next couple chapters you have to read. If you're listening to the audio, each one is about 15 minutes. As I've said in class, you probably can read that faster silently yourself than listening to it, but make your choice and start getting into this book so you kind of want to see what's happening with Okonkwo and you understand what he's doing. In chapter 3, you will see the Oracle of the Hills. What does that person do? What happened to his father? You'll find out Unoka is his father again. What happened to him? And then what did the wealthy villager Nowakibi do? And again, you have another idiom on page 20 if you're interested. An idiom, just to remind you, is in our culture we might say, man, it's raining cats and dogs outside. We don't really mean it's raining cats and dogs. We just mean it's raining really, really hard, and for some reason we make this analogy to cats and dogs falling from the sky. I don't know why. You could certainly search that, but that's what an example of an idiom in our culture is. See if you can find that one on page 20. Then as you move into the last chapter for this reading, you're going to learn a little bit more about Okonkwo's personality. And then letter B, I'm kind of giving you some insight into that other son that I talked about. He has his own birth son, and then he has this adopted son that has joined his family. How are they getting along? And then what happens and what is the Week of Peace? You will learn about lots of ceremonies and cultures in this book, in their culture, and the traditions and some of the things they do. The Week of Peace is one of them, one of the first ones we'll learn about. And then also you will learn about the importance of the yam crop. That is hugely important to them. Then you see here a picture of Okonkwo's compound that I have told you. There's a description of it on page 14. Here's kind of a visual. You can see Obi is the name for hut. Here's Okonkwo's hut. Then each of his wives have their own hut, which they have with their own family. You see the yam barn is quite big. You see a yam field. You see they have goats. All of this is described a little bit, and you see the clay wall around it on page 14. And letter C, one of the last things you need to find are environmental references in the chapter. Environment is anything in his environment. It could be weather-related stuff. They are really dependent upon the weather to survive. It could be the trees, the ground, the jungle, the forest, whatever they're going through, that kind of stuff in their environment. It could be the structures. So this counts as Okonkwo's compound. That's one of the elements that is referenced, and it's a big deal that as they describe this to you and kind of showing you his wealth and what he has accomplished. Last thing you have to do on your must-do, summarize the main idea of this section. This is for you, so you kind of remember what's going on. Where is Okonkwo? Who's he with? What is he doing? And why or how is this happening? So some of those are more easily answered than others. The space you have should be enough to just kind of bullet what's going on with him to keep track of it. So you can remember as you go back in these chapters, here's where it is. So I'm not asking for big chapter summaries, but just what's happening with him in these chapters. You met him, you meet his family members. You go into the detail you want to, but you need to be accountable for what's happening in these chapters, and this is a way to help you. Last thing, on page 11, you have step 3, this pivotal passage preparation. I have a note here on the bottom if I move myself up. I will talk about this in class next week, probably Tuesday, for people that are ready. And I'll have some documents for you, but that's the assessment in this chapter deals with pivotal passages and analyzing a really important passage and finding some literary elements in it and explaining how Chinua Achebe used them to emphasize or show us something and why you think that was important. The further you get in the book, the easier it gets because you will have more background onto why it's important and what's happening in the main character's life. But we're going to start right away finding some things and seeing if, at least identifying them and seeing how they're important within a smaller set of chapters to start with before we get into the whole book. So good luck.